All right, Guy Danhoff here. We're going one-on-one with Ashley Krause. Ashley happens to be the Associate Superintendent in Farmington. Ashley, I want to first of all tell you what an amazing session you did today on Know Your Why. And I know not everyone could be there. So what I was wondering is if you could just kind of give us the concept behind Know Your Why in your role as the Associate Superintendent.
Absolutely. So, first of all, thank you very much. I would say within our district, knowing our why is actually our motto for this year. We kicked it off and we went to every staff member within our district and asked, why are you here? Why do you do what you do? So in discussing our why, and if you go throughout our district and ask any faculty member, anyone, they will tell you that that is our focus and we need to dig down and get to the root of why we're here. It's about our students. It's about our kids. It's about our community. It is about each other, wrapping around, providing service towards others. So when we actually started to talk about why with areas such as physical education and needs of our kids and health and wellness, we started with our physical education teachers. And when we looked at services that we were providing to students, we got very honest with one another. We call it our kitchen table talk time. And when we have kitchen table talk time, that's when we all sit around together as professionals and we're honest, we're vulnerable. We put things out that we fear. We talk about barriers. We don't admire them. We decide how to overcome those barriers and those fears. And again, like I said, it started with physical education, which led us quickly to the CDC model of WISC. And as we looked at the WISC model, we saw that it just made sense for our district. We were able to drill down to see that, quite honestly, we weren't working together as a team. And to accomplish, to truly wrap around the whole child and to view our students and community as holistic individuals and humans, that was something we needed to do.
So Ashley, with that, again, I'm sure there's some school districts out there that are very intrigued by your answer. And with that, then, how long did this process take?
So I kept looking around as associate superintendent. I was not charged with physical education or looking at anything within that department. But what I was challenged with was counselors and social workers and SROs, school resource officers, school safety, nurses, and that group of individuals. But I kept going by the physical education classrooms and saying, I just think we can do better. I think that these staff members deserve better. I think we as a group can do better. And I kept looking behind me for that person that was going to fix it, and that person wasn't there. So I decided to go to my superintendent and say, "Hey, can I take this on?" And he said, "Absolutely." And so we brought physical education along with that in other intended pieces and groups, and we started there. So that's truly how we got started in looking at the individual components, but how you brought it together as a whole.
Well, I think what's cool with that, a lot of vulnerability by people, but knowing that you had to trust the process.
Yes, and again, with that kitchen table talk time, we got down and dirty. So
Yeah.
we actually started to have some conversations of, do you feel valued as a professional? What do you need? What are the resources? What's the equipment? What has been given to you, and who could be your cheerleader? And I like to think that I tried to become that, and I learn from them every day. They hold me accountable, and that's what we agreed to. You hold me accountable, and I'll hold you accountable, and we'll work as a team.
That is awesome. So with that then, so it's one thing to get the troops together, right? Get the right people on the bus and get them on the right seats. Now you're all locking arms. Now you got to deal with what? The challenge.
The challenges.
So what were the main challenges now that you guys were facing, but you guys were more unified and leaning on each other to get this done?
So again, I think each department kind of teams together. So like I said, PE, they were locked in together vertically. They work with each other. They'll have their disagreements, but they'll bond together. So PE would be together as a solid group. Then I would look at social workers, and they're very solid together. You would look at SROs, they're solid. Safety was solid. Counselors were solid. But we didn't have a team approach. And so the silo, whether we said we were going to be a team or not, that silo still continued. And again, that fear of, if you're a nurse coming out of your office and partnering and locking arms with a physical education teacher or with a social worker or with safety, security or whatnot, those were our challenges and our barriers, because quite honestly, as much as we all like to say that we want to be a team, sometimes that's uncomfortable when people are in our business, and we had to break down that area of somebody else being in, quote, our business. We're a team, and we're going to disagree, and that's why you collectively bring people together. If you have a bunch of people around the table that think the same, you never move forward. So how are we going to build leadership capacity with one another, but also actually not just say we're a team, but quite honestly become the team?
So with that, what were the specific challenges?
So equipment, money, resources, and we had to get really creative. And I'm not a detail person, so I had to reach out to other people and start asking questions, networking around the state, out of the state, networking with other people that knew how to find those monies, those grants, those areas of title funding, Title IV or whatnot that had to be tapped into, and exactly how to appropriately do that, and get into those areas that we had that were weak.
So with that, obviously, now you guys were able to get a bunch of stuff launched based on your session today. So what are, kind of fill us in then, where you went from the challenge to the next steps to actually launching, and then kind of give us a brief overview of where you're at today.
Okay, so like I said, we just started. So we actually kicked it off with some book studies, and again, we tapped into that money and said professional development. So we would go to Title II money and say, we've got to have some PD on this. We started at the bare basics, tapped into that. After we did a lot of groundwork and professional development with our staff members, then we were able to tap into the equipment and resources. And then we had to form our team. We had to do some forming, storming, and norming to be able to figure out how we're going to move forward as a system. And then we had to learn how to become those leaders to teach others. Once I leave, this needs to stay. And the only way that it's going to stay is that we can consistently keep tapping into other people to take on the initiatives to find their intensive passion. Our next steps, I heard some wonderful clinicians talk today and amazing professionals. We know curriculum is an area that we have to hit next. And not everybody loves to jump into curriculum. So I got to find those people within our departments that are passionate about that, tap into their strengths, and move forward. So those will be our next steps. Also, State of Missouri they're coming out with their new MSIP 6 standards, and we're going to launch into that. Lucky, I do the comprehensive school improvement plan and start to formulate those stakeholders. So you bet this is going to be a huge part of this, and it's going to be within the structure, and it's going to sustain for at least the next 5 to 6 years, and we're just going to start ground up and keep continuing on by plugging it.
So Ashley, with that, I just have one final question, and I'm only bringing this up because you did a great job today.
Thank you.
Share with everyone where they could go take a look at where you're at now with some of the resources. Maybe you have 1 or 2 key resources. I know you mentioned a few, but if you could let the viewers know that, I think that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. Any administrator, teacher, or anyone out there can actually just Google ASCD and CDC WISC model. You can start there. It will give you a wealth of information on some of the facts that you're going to want to tap into. You also can go to MoShape. You can go to the DESE website. I will say, Laura has done a phenomenal job of making that user-friendly, and that's where we started. We just started going down wormholes of information overload and taking small bits and chunks of what makes things make sense for you and your district.
Well, actually, I want to say again, because I attended your session, I am literally blown away, and it is very exciting with what you guys are doing. I know you guys are certainly at the front end of the launch, but we're also going to be following you on Twitter, and then we're going to be sharing some things together with MoShape and what you're doing with Laura as this program continues to evolve. But I want to thank you for taking the time now.
Thank you.
And you guys just keep checking all the different sites that she's talking about, because we're going to be updating along the way. So we want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much.